I mean, we would need it today too, but maybe not quite as much.
Yeah, the heat, it's summer. Today is the first day of summer, and typically it gets hot. So I think a lot of folks are pretty much in.
Unless you live in Australia.
Yeah, right. I mean, you're pretty much used to this, and here we are with heat, and that's only going to increase as we head through the next few days. Now, if we had a little bit of rain, if we had some fronts pushing through, that would help us out, but we really haven't had much in the way of that for the month. We picked up about 3/4 of an inch, and whenever you look at where we should be for the month of June, we're nearly 2 inches below that number. So we could really use the rain. Not getting it today, nothing to add to the bucket, and really just some isolated rain opportunities looking ahead. We are dealing with partly cloudy skies, dry conditions though across most of the region. You'd have to go all the way to central Alabama to pick up on some rain, and that's moving away from us. So no luck. A lot of tropical moisture in Mexico moving into Texas and into the southwestern United States. That's all courtesy of Tropical Depression Alberto. Those winds right now sustained at 35 miles per hour. It's going to continue to move to the west at 18. You can see all of that rain, all of the cloud cover pushing into the southern parts of the states. Wish we could get in on that. No such luck. But we are going to be watching a couple of systems closer to home. This area in the Bay of Campeche where we had the development of Alberto is very ripe and favorable. You can see there's an area of low pressure to the south and east of that. It's going to move in this direction over the course of the weekend. And as it does, that environment is going to be very favorable for some slow development. So something that we'll be watching over the course of the next few days. Also watching this area of low pressure that's trying to hold together off of the coast of the Bahamas. That's going to gradually migrate towards the west, and that has a medium chance of development as well, about a 40% opportunity. So we'll watch that. Wish we could get some rain in here, but just low end rain opportunities as we head into the weekend and the beginning of next week. The heat's really the story. Very warm out there, mid to upper 80s across most of the region. It will stay warm through the overnight, expecting us to dip to near 70 degrees. Now, as we head into the day tomorrow, gradual warming through the afternoon, getting into the mid 80s around lunchtime, and then climbing into the 90s for the better part of the afternoon, expecting to hit 93 degrees for a high on Friday, and trending even warmer as we head into the weekend. Already near 90 at lunchtime on Saturday. A lot of us are going to be going out to the Juneteenth parade. Just remember to hydrate. This isn't terrible, but it will be a little bit more humid in the afternoon. We'll get into the low 90s, maybe about a 10% chance of an isolated shower, but I do think that most of us will stay dry throughout the day on Saturday. We'll gradually increase that rain chance as we head into Sunday. More humidity climbing into the area as we head into the weekend, so those feel-like temperatures, the heat index, will climb to near triple digits and hang out there not only for the weekend, but as we head into next week. Best chance for rain in the 7-day forecast, not arriving until either Wednesday or Thursday.
Wow. All right.